Delegate Nicole Williams will be the lead sponsor of the bill, saying she's sick and tired of ICE wreaking havoc in Maryland communities.
Yeah, so Homeland Security is not happy with the state of Maryland, specifically Democrat lawmakers out of the state of Maryland. I don't think people realize this, but Maryland is not technically a sanctuary state. However, they really act like one, and it looks like Homeland Security is seeing this as the final straw. Basically, Democrat lawmakers are officially trying to end partnership programs between the counties, police forces, sheriffs from working with Homeland Security as far as deportations. ICE has what's called the ISIS 287G program. Basically, this is a partnership setup between sheriffs, local police departments, and ICE. If you guys want to work together and crack down on illegal immigrants, we can work together and do that through this program. But Maryland Democrats are saying, nope, we don't want to do that anymore. We want to pass a statewide ban on any cooperation, and I think this would officially make Maryland technically a sanctuary state, but they don't have like a proclamation saying we are a sanctuary state. Now, check out this news report.
They describe it as they say that it sweeps those with minor offenses, something like a traffic citation, into the deportation pipeline. It's why today state leadership is announcing a bill that would put a full-out ban on these agreements.
To end local collaboration with ICE to protect families instead of tearing them apart.
O'Reilly says she's had to watch loved ones disappear. That now includes her partner.
The love of my life, Kevin, was handed over to ICE by a Maryland sheriff who is now facilitating this administration's cool policies when he should have been home with me and our family.
She's one of many Friday calling for state action.
I know many people are not going to believe this, but basically a sheriff in Maryland has the ability right now to say, hey, are you an illegal immigrant? If the person says yes, okay, well, I'm going to forward you over to ICE and they can do their job on the federal level. Well, the state of Maryland, Democrats, they want to get rid of that. That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about legal U.S. citizens. We're not talking about anything like that. These are illegal immigrants, and there's a straight pipeline that creates a faster deportation or a proper lines of communication. I also want to mention, when it comes to this partnership, this has to be the safest way possible in order to go to the proper federal agents. Because as many of you are aware, one of the biggest talking points or complaints from people who hate ICE is that these are unmarked vehicles with masks, and we don't like that. Well, this program, it creates a safe pathway to hand you over to ICE agents who won't be wearing the mask, they won't be unidentified, as are the claims, and this is a way for a sheriff to pass on the illegal immigrant to the proper authorities. And to me, this is the best part. You are able to track where the illegal immigrant is going. You don't have to worry about reaching out to all these different ICE offices or field offices. You know where the person is going, yet the state of Maryland, as we're about to see, might make that a lot more difficult.
CASA lawmakers and advocates coming together to introduce a bill arguing that the 287G program erodes community trust and safety. It's a type of agreement where local authorities partner with federal immigration, allowing officers to start the deportation process.
287G agreements do nothing to make us safer. They simply make it convenient for ICE to make more arrests at the cost of our commitment to justice and the trust of the public in our legal system.
Now look, to me, this is what we see within these sanctuary environments. It's almost as if they're just throwing the sheriffs and the police departments under the bus who are just trying to inquire who you are. Hey, are you from this country? There's like this implication that ICE is using sheriffs as like the puppet master, and sheriffs are going around and looking for illegal immigrants. So I don't know how sheriffs and the unions are going to respond to this, but again, to me, it looks like you're almost insulting your own police force who's trying to protect the state of Maryland. And if you haven't already, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. It's a massive help, and I think people want to see what's going on in the state of Maryland, because I wouldn't be surprised if other states tried to pass this same exact law. I mean, this is not the first time the state of Maryland has passed a bill like this. I mean, look at Senate Bill 828. You're not even going to believe this. This bill bill without application to a state or local correctional facility requires a public school, a public library, or a unit of the executive branch of state government that operates at a sensitive location to deny access to any portion of the sensitive location that is not accessible to the general public to an individual seeking access for the purpose of enforcing federal immigration law unless the individual presents a valid warrant issued by a federal court or a court of the state, or there are legitimate circumstances. And real quick, before we continue, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you up to date with this story and others just like it. And if you see the QR code, that's for people watching TV. Just take out your cell phone, scan the QR code. It's a lot easier to subscribe that way. Thank you. Like I said, the state of Maryland is not technically a sanctuary state because this bill has not been signed. It's been passed but not signed, but this is a bill asking public schools and libraries to tell ICE agents to get out of here unless you have a warrant. And by the way, here's the ultimate kicker. All of these bills that Maryland is introducing and passing and possibly signing, as many of you are aware, if not all of you, if you are subscribed to my channel, these laws are not enforceable when it comes to the federal jurisdiction of ICE agents. These are state level laws. So we keep seeing this common theme throughout all of these sanctuary states or sanctuary jurisdictions. These are not actual laws that can be enforced at all, only on the state level. So if anything, what we keep seeing within sanctuary jurisdictions is that the only people affected by these laws when it comes to security forces like the police or a local agency, just them. Sheriffs, state troopers, local police, those are the only people who get affected by this. And the question is, why would you put any limitations on your own local security forces like the sheriffs or state troopers? Why would you limit any cooperation at all to make your state safer? Even if you hate ICE, like I said, this is probably the safest pipeline or lines of communication with an agency you hate, like ICE. But look, they're saying, no, it's not going to be safer.
Nothing to make us safer. They simply make it convenient for ICE to make more arrests at the cost of our commitment to justice and the trust of the public in our legal system.
Those for it say it keeps communities safe.
And by the way, in this entire 2-minute news segment, that's all you get for people who support this. You get about 3 seconds of, and people who are for it, they say it keeps people safe. And that's it. The entire time, it's just, no, this is bad, this is bad. I'm not hating on the news agency, I'm just trying to tell you guys, there are people in the state of Maryland who do like this policy, but this policy, in my opinion, if you get rid of it or you introduce the bill and pass it, I do think it's safe to say Maryland would then technically become a sanctuary state at that point.
That leads to racial profiling and public distrust of police.
They deserve to have protections because your personhood, not your status, is what always has mattered here in the state of Maryland.
Delegate Nicole Williams will be the lead sponsor of the bill, saying she's sick and tired of ICE wreaking havoc in Maryland communities.
And by the way, so this comment right here, this is about the sheriffs and the local security forces cooperating with ICE. This is not even ICE going into the community and doing their job, because they always have that jurisdiction. They always have that ability to do what they want to do. But we're talking about the sheriffs who are just letting ICE know this is an illegal immigrant. Yet again, we keep seeing this, and I'm trying to be as fair as possible. I know it looks like I'm pushing a narrative, but this is a common theme we keep seeing. Everything is being blamed on ICE, but the only people affected is going to be the sheriffs.
This has to stop, and this has to end. The tyranny has to stop, and we are going to stop it with the passage of this bill.
Now, the bill is not necessarily new. It's actually failed in the Senate twice before, but the delegate is confident it will make it through both chambers into the governor's desk this time around. Proof of that is Senate President Bill Ferguson posted on X today sharing his support. We did reach out to ICE for comment with no response.
Yeah, guys, look, this bill is going to pass, especially if that last bill I showed you guys where they want librarians and school teachers to tell people to get back, ICE agents to go away unless you have a warrant. Of course this bill is going to pass. Okay, now check this out. A group of sheriffs have actually come out in support of ICE and support of this agreement. Here we go.
A group of sheriffs and deputies fighting to save their relationship with ICE.
They're urging senators to reject a bill that would end their agreements, which would stop them from enforcing enforcing federal immigration laws.
As well as if this bill is passed, will there be retribution from the Trump administration?
And this right here is what happens when you become a sanctuary state. Will there be some sort of retributions creating sanctuary policies in which the Trump administration will just flood our entire state with maybe the National Guard or maybe other federal agencies? And these lawmakers know that is a very real possibility. But again, Maryland is not technically a sanctuary state, but they are very close once you pass this law.
The sheriffs, they're saying that without this, there's going to be no public safety here in Maryland. Meanwhile, supporters of the bill, they're saying that all 287G contracts do is create mistrust with local law enforcement. Joined by lawmakers and other supporters, a group of sheriffs from around Maryland stress the importance of 287G agreements as the Maryland Values Act seeks to end them. There are 3 active agreements in Maryland, according to ICE, in Harford, Frederick, and Cecil counties.
To protect our communities, we must, as sheriffs, be allowed to work with our local, state, and federal partners, all of our federal partners.
Under this agreement, a local law enforcement agency partners with ICE to perform some immigration officer duties. This group of sheriffs say these duties only
Heavy emphasis on some. It's not like the sheriffs turn into ICE agents overnight and they're out there doing ICE operations. No, this agreement just makes it a lot easier for you as a sheriff to protect your county.
Only exists in jails, and they don't decide who's removed or detained. Immigrant rights advocates argue it extends ICE's reach, targets low-level offenses, and heightens risk of racial profiling.
And mind you, again, look, if you don't like ICE and all of those things you just heard, you don't like ICE for that, mind you, at the end of the day, we are still talking about an illegal immigrant at the very end of the day. And that is one thing the Trump administration will always have, and ICE, they will always have that one talking point or that one way to push back. You can hate us, but if the person is an illegal immigrant, based off of our country's laws, they can be deported. But again, this is what we keep seeing with the sanctuary laws that keep coming in. It's just making it harder and harder for agents to do this the legal way.
No person is going to call the police if that police officer is also an ICE agent, right? What we want to do is make sure that people feel confident calling 911, making sure they're reaching out if they're victims of crimes, right? Also, just collaborating with the police as a whole.
Everyone at the news conference, including ICE Deputy Assistant Director Matt Elliston, says these contracts only improve public safety for everyone. The state's oldest 287G contract is in Frederick County. Sheriff Chuck Jenkins says if the bill passes, Maryland is losing a big safety net.
What it's going to do is going to invite every criminal that can't go to Virginia, can't go to West Virginia, can't go to the surrounding jurisdictions, bring them into Maryland without consequence of being removed or deported from this.
And then look, this sheriff would be in trouble if he wanted some sort of help with immigration enforcement. He would now possibly lose his job. I mean, a lot could happen to him. So again, it creates limitations like I keep saying and like we keep seeing with these laws. It creates limitations on the state level. No matter what, I don't want to say no matter what, but ICE can go in where they need to go in as far as jurisdiction-wise. We know this. We've seen this. The Trump administration has really exploited what the law truly is. Sanctuary cities don't mean anything to the Trump administration, but really to these federal agencies who have always had the jurisdiction to do their jobs. It just turns out we've never really seen it performed at the highest level like we're seeing today.
Now, the Maryland Values Act, it already has passed the House. The 2 other bills that are a part of immigrant rights groups CASA's legislative package, the Protecting Sensitive Locations Act, as well as the Maryland Data Privacy Act.
And that's the one we talked about towards the middle of the video. This looks like to be a total package, again, in the direction of some sort of massive sanctuary policy shift. And you guys, we read the beginning of that bill, the other bill, it's like, hey, no libraries, no schools, no warrants, get out of here, ICE agents. And now with this, totally disconnecting the ability for a sheriff or a county to work together with ICE agents, once again, we are in sanctuary territory. And in my personal opinion, I do think the Trump administration will definitely either sue the state or, like we always see, send in more federal resources. And if anything, there's one city in the state of Maryland in which has always been the target for the Trump administration as far as a federal surge. Baltimore is already on that list. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to please subscribe, please like, and leave your comments. And like I always say at the end of my videos, make sure to please pray for peace. We do need that right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. God bless, and we'll see you all later. Again, we always try to have a peaceful dialogue on my channel, so I hope we are able to do that. We need peace right now in this country. Thank you.